Hello, everyone. Salim here from New Jersey. And I've got Karla Pierskalla joining us. And you can see her and me. I'm attending a conference actually in Atlantic City. And so I'm in my hotel room and came up for this thing because I wanted to honor my commitment to you guys that we were going to have an amazing presenter who spoke at our super conference in Orlando back in June, and she was so well received. And the concepts are so valuable and practical and relevant that I wanted her to, I wanted to do this for the coaching members. Now, before we get started, I would like to make sure, let's do a quick sound check, folks, that you guys can hear. You can hear me, you can see the screen. So type something in the questions pane that lets me know that we are all good from that standpoint. All right, no one yet, so that means maybe you guys cannot, look at you, Marcel, thank you. All right, people can hear us, see us, that's great, super, good. Karla has, very quickly, Karla has created an amazing business for herself using methodology called the 7L methodology, 7 levels of communication. So she's going to, and Marcel was at the super conference. He says, good to see you both. He's one of the folks that was at the conference, and he's hear us again. But it's a methodology that she's used, a framework to grow her business exponentially. And it's the same techniques that she uses that we can use as practitioners. And I wanted her to come in January at the beginning of the year and at the beginning of tax season, because what she'll talk about, she'll share is going to be really relevant and practical to us as we meet lots of clients. And she'll also, cover the topic of time management and some of the aspects relating to making the most out of your day, out of your year, and that. So with that said, Karla, you are on.
Awesome. Well, welcome everyone to the webinar. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yep, I think, yep.
Okay. And Salim, I'm not seeing the questions box, just the chat feature. So if you do see some questions come in along the way, if you could let me know, that would be wonderful.
Yep.
So yes, welcome those that have seen me at the last seminar, and for the newcomers. My name is Karla Pierskalla, and like Salim said, I am a certified referral trainer in the 7 levels of communication. And the reason why I became a certified referral trainer with the 7 levels is because of what it did for my business. I went from being mediocre at best to top in my state in no time, using the systems that the 7 levels has created. And so it's a pleasure for me to bring that to you. And we'll be covering some of the things that we talked about at the seminar back in June. And I wanted to go much deeper on a topic. And with it being January, the beginning of the year, the beginning of your crazy season with tax time coming, I wanted to share kind of the #1 topic that made the biggest difference for me in my business as I was implementing these systems. And so we're going to talk about how we can master your year one day at a time. In the beginning of the year, especially 2020, this year, it's the year of focus, right? We want to get clarity and really focus on our business this year. And what does that look like? What does success look like for you in your business? What needs to change in your business for you to feel like you did have a successful year? And I hope after we dive a little bit deeper, you're going to have some good questions to ask yourself and a little more clarity for your business of where you want to take it. And we set goals in the beginning of the year, and how many of us actually follow through with those really diligently throughout the year? We have great intentions, and we know the saying, the road is paved with good intentions, right? And I hope that we can find some activities and some exercises that will keep you on the right path throughout the year. And so we're going to dive deep into time blocking. And one of the reasons is I feel, everyone does it to a certain level, some more than others. However, it's an area that no matter who we are, we can always improve at, and it makes the biggest impact in your business. And no matter what level you are in your business, it's always impactful. And so that's why I chose to really go deep on this one. Now, I'm sure most of you, and feel free to add into the chat column and interact with me. I love that. Um, so how many of you wish that you had more time in your day? I think that's all of us,
Yeah.
especially now coming up to tax season. You guys are going to be working, what, 60, 80 hours a week. You're going to be missing, kids' games, family dinners, all of that, because this is your urgent time. And I'm in real estate, and we have a similar issue. Our market goes up and down, and in the summer, that's our time to make hay, right? While the sun is shining. And so we need to be very aware of where we're spending all of our time. If we're going to take time away from our family, we want to make sure that it's worth it. And so if we look at, my computer stalled. There we go. We're going to look at the 7 steps to time blocking today. And it's 7 simple steps that we can execute very quickly. And I'm hoping that the handouts made it to you. If not, Kimberly was going to be sending those out at the end of the webinar, so you'll get a bunch of the handouts. And you actually take some time to implement these things. First and foremost, with time blocking, we need to track our time. We need to know exactly where you are spending most of your day, and where we can improve our productivity within our day. And everyone says, yeah, I know this is what we're supposed to be doing. But 97% of us don't actually track or know where our time went. We get done at the end of the day and we're like, oh my gosh, I was busy all day, but I didn't accomplish anything. We're too busy to be productive a lot of the times. So I sent over a handout that you all can use. And this is an exercise that I highly challenge all of you to do. On the left-hand side, it's your perfect day. I want you to take some time away from distractions in a quiet place and actually think about, what does my perfect day look like? Does that mean I get up and go to the gym in the morning? Does that mean I get up in time I can take my kids to school? What does your morning routine look like? It gives me enough time to eat a healthy breakfast and not just grab a donut on the way out the door. Once I'm in the office, here's what my perfect day looks like. I have enough time to check emails and be caught up. I have enough time to do a post on social media to gain some more business. I have enough time to make phone calls, whatever that looks like for you. And this is a no judgment zone. It doesn't matter what that perfect day looks like for you. It won't be perfect for someone else. It needs to be perfect for you. Doesn't mean you take a nap in the middle of the day. We won't judge, if that's what your perfect day looks like. What time do you want to be leaving the office? And of course, this is going to change based on the seasonality, right? You guys are going to be putting in more time, more hours here at tax time, and then it will start to settle down a bit. So maybe it's you have a perfect day for tax season and a perfect day for non. Then the next exercise is
Karla, just one
yes.
second. Everyone, Kimberly just sent me a message that she had emailed the handouts over to you. So you all should have received it if you want to open it up. Karla, are the PowerPoint slides? I'm still seeing the first one, right? Master your year. Just want to make sure that when you're,
No.
yeah.
All right. How about now?
Yeah, perfect. Now, yeah, now we're talking,
Okay.
right? So this is the
Okay.
first slide, right?
This is, yes. There
Perfect.
was one other, but it just said perfect day, actual day, so you aren't missing anything.
Got it. Good,
So
good. And so this is in the handout.
this is in the handouts for you.
All
So
right.
this will be the first exercise. And after you plan the perfect day, then it's actually taking a look at what your actual day looks like. And this can be a pain because a lot of people don't want to take the time every 30 minutes to write down exactly how they spent their time. However, this is a very powerful exercise. And, people may say, I already know what I do with my time. Still do this exercise, and it's going to bring to the surface things that you may not have seen prior. So my challenge is 2 weeks, you track your actual day, because then you're going to start seeing patterns in your day. And be honest with yourself. If you're not honest with how you spent your time, it's not going to help you. So be honest. Did you spend 2 hours on Facebook when you shouldn't have? Did you take a 3 hour lunch? Did those things are okay as long as you can see that that's what you actually did, and then you can analyze them afterwards. So this is the first handout to really dive deep into your day. And then we'll look at them together. How far off is your actual day to your perfect day? And we have lots of good questions we can ask when we see that. What needs to change to get these two to align more? And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. All right, I'm going to change slides. And did that show up for you, Salim?
Mhm.
Okay, perfect. So step 2 in time blocking is to find a format. And everybody likes to have different formats. Not everyone is the same. Some like electronic, some like paper, some do both. I encourage you to find one system that works really well for you. I do use an online calendar, and I do also use paper. However, I use them differently, and I'll kind of show you how I use them differently. But find a format that works for you. And it can be paper form, like I said, it can be electronic. Some of the formats I've used before is these are some of my paper versions or can be electronic versions. And you can have a weekly time block there. You can have a daily time block. The one to the right shows weekly broken down, but then also a month. Everyone is different visually. So choose what works for you. The one that I use is extremely chaotic to most people, and they don't like it whatsoever. And it's this sheet right here. I created it personally for myself because this is what made sense in my chaotic mind. And for me, this is a snapshot of the month, yet it's broken out by week. So you can see the first square here is those are all my Mondays for the week, and it's broken out by a half an hour. And I use this as more of my generic time blocking. This doesn't have specifics on it. This helps me plan what my perfect day should look like. And I know that I have some reoccurring meetings that I need to go to, some reoccurring networking events. I do accountability, I do coaching with my clients, and I plug all of that in here so I can see at a glance where my days are completely full and where my days I do have some free time, because it's very important that this schedule is not completely full. If it's completely full, we're going to have problems because life is going to happen. A last minute client is going to call you and say, hey, I need to get in to see you. And we're going to want to take them on. However, we don't have time in our day. And so it's very important for us to have that visual of how much flexibility do I have to accommodate my clients? Because ultimately, that's what it comes down to. So I have each day of the week broken out by half-hour increments. And so all of those got sent your way. Find a format that you personally, gravitate towards and like. Now, how I use my calendar is I take all the generic information I have here, and when it's a specific, I put it onto my calendar. So I know that I have, 10 meetings. My goal is 10 meetings a week. So I will have those 10 meetings once I know the name, the date, the person, then it goes into my online calendar. And I live by my online calendar. If it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist, and I forget about it. So everything I have goes into my calendar, and now it's so wonderful because your phone will remind you to do everything, and I rely heavily on it. It gives me alerts and reminders to take out the garbage and water my plants, let alone have my meetings. So utilize these tools. And now there's a lot of tools out there. You have tools for, all different kinds of calendars, time blocking, to-do lists, all of that. I encourage you to not get bogged down by all the different apps that are out there. Choose one that really encompasses what you need and stick with that one versus 10 different, because then you have your information, spread out all over the place. So first step of time efficiency.
Good stuff here, Carla. And what I'd like to share is, you started off talking about goals, and we create
Yes,
goals, and our intention is to achieve them, right? And
correct.
these could be goals relating to the practice, the accounting practice, financial goals, and so forth. All the KPIs relating to that, but it could be also personal goals that you have for yourself. And
Yes.
something that I learned from Dr. Stephen Covey, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, and then his sequel book was First Things First. He talks about a simple analogy of a bucket, and if you want to get a lot in the bucket, you start off by putting the big rocks in, and then the
Mhm.
smaller pebbles, and then the dirt, and you're able to jam pack the most in. And the important thing is to get the big rocks in, right? And I mean,
Right.
is you guys watching this, listening to this, what are your big rocks for yourself over the next 4 months, right? When it comes to your life, when it comes to you as a person, what's important for you? Because the more aligned you are with your values and what you are, who you are, the more enjoyable life is going to be, the more stress free, the more happier you're going to be. And so what Carla is sharing here, kind of keep, reflect on what are the most important things over the next 4 months that you want to do. Is it going to be busy, busy, busy? Or are there going to be times, periods of times when you are going to recharge yourself? And if that's the case, how are you going to recharge yourself? What does that look like? Is it fitness? Is it time away? Taking a 3-day weekend, getting away, whatever that is. This is a great tool and a great way to get the big rocks in and then fill it up with all the other busy stuff that needs to happen during tax season.
Right. Right. And yeah, Stephen Covey is a great person to do some research on his teaching, and we'll actually touch on some of his stuff in this as well. And what I found is,
Oh, I see. Okay, good.
yeah, so we're on the same page,
We are on the
Salim.
same page for sure. Yeah.
And time is something we can't change. We only have so much time in the day, and we can only be so productive as well. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that too. It's all about energy. Where are you putting your energy? I think of ourselves sometimes as a cell phone, where at times we're fully in use and we're draining our battery quick, and we need to have a full battery, right, to show up and to be present 100%. And then there's other times where we can bring our energy down and conserve that energy and wait to use it, later on in the day. And so just being aware of your schedule and when are those times do you have to show up 100%? Most of the time it's when that client is sitting right across from you and you're having your meeting with them and you're preparing, what they need for their taxes. That's your show time, right? That's when you need to be 100% engaged and present with them, because people know instantly if you're engaged and present with them, or if you're in 100 different other spots in your brain. And all people want is to be heard, and they want to belong, right? They want to feel like they're belonging. And so, we're going to talk a little bit about this later, but this is your moment to shine, is when that person is sitting in front of you. And as you're going through all the details with them, you learn so much about your client. You know all about their businesses, you know about where they were spending their money this last year, charities they're involved in. You get to get so much information. Utilize that information to build a relationship with them while they're sitting across from you. You know, be able to have a conversation with them and just dive deeper into their life, obviously on a business professional level, but be able to engage with them. And now you're not just their CPA, you're more than that. You know, you're someone that they trust, you're someone that they come to for a resource, and really expound on that when you have them in front of you.
Yeah, and yeah, that's a great point, and I like how you've connected that, time management and being showing up in the best way possible during tax season when we're sitting in front of a client or we're having a one-on-one meeting with our team member. And I know I've been through like 23 tax seasons in my own firm, so I know how busy it is, right? And we don't have like an hour to meet with a client to talk about a lot of stuff we ordinarily may want to go into. But I feel like a 15-minute meeting can be a very powerful meeting, and we can touch on a couple of important things that matter, and we can always then seed that 15-minute meeting to get the job done, tax returns and so forth, and then have a second meeting in May, or a follow-up meeting and so forth in June when you've got more time and you can talk to them more so. And the reason you want to do this is because I feel each client is an asset. We know that, but it's an asset that can be leveraged, right? All your clients, that relationship can be leveraged much more than ordinarily what we are doing. Each client, if they're paying 5K, they should be like 15K. There's like, if you want to put it a monetary amount, $15,000 instead of a $5,000, right? So we're looking to go deeper in that relationship.
Yes. And be aware of who your perfect client is. When they're sitting in front of you and you're like, this is my perfect client, let them know that. And this is a great way to ask for a referral. Hey, Salim, I really enjoy working with you. You actually are the poster child of my perfect client, and who do you know? Birds of a feather flock together. Who else do you know, Salim, that's just like you that I could help in this upcoming year? Go for that ask. People want to help other people. And you start with a compliment, they're going to enjoy that. They're going to embrace that, and ask, who do you know that's just like you? I would love to work with them as well. And, great referrals come from that. If you don't know who your perfect client is, I would absolutely write that down right now. Figure out who that perfect client is for you. And now be aware and look out for that. It's been proven that if you just ask for a generic referral, who do you know that I can help? People's minds don't go anywhere. They don't think of anyone. The more specific you can get with them, that's when referrals are going to come. Who do you know that's a business owner that runs maybe a out of home business that needs some help, with their taxes, and, start breaking that down. And that's going to allow people to start thinking of actual names and faces that they know. So that's a helpful hip for referrals. So,
yes.
All right, let's move on. This is just a snapshot of a planner that I personally put together for myself. This is what I utilize throughout the day because I do still like to write things down. I find joy in that. And so it talks about my must-dos for the day, or some people say that eat that frog. What's the one thing you have to accomplish or you cannot go home that day? I always like to come from a place of gratitude. And so I do have a spot where I mark down each day the 5 things I'm grateful for. Some days it's harder to come up with that 5 than other days. And then I do focus on some affirmations throughout the day. Affirmations are powerful, and I won't go into them because we don't have enough time today, but I would gladly talk more if you do want to hear more about affirmations at another time. Then I keep track of my daily successes. This is important. I don't like to look into the past unless I'm looking at how far I've come. And these daily successes, to go back to remind me how far I've come, is very inspiring. Then I do have a time block if I want to write those in. I have, spots of the people I need to call. And so this is just something that I put together as a daily planner that helps me as well.
Which
So now,
where do you buy, where do you get yours from? Which one is this? And I know there's several, right? I mean, it may be helpful to someone on the call.
I created this one myself. So I designed it and put it together myself. And it is something that I'm personally working on to be able to share that and sell that to others that may need it. And so if there is a need out there, guys, if we have enough people and a need out there that would like a planner that's more directed just for your business, let me know, because that is something that I could create and have a planner specifically just for your needs. So, and maybe it looks similar to this. Maybe there's, a lot of differences that you would like to see, and we can definitely get something put together, because this can be powerful when used right.
Yeah, and so you carry this around with you? It's in
I
your
do.
purse.
Yes. Yes. In
Right.
fact, I don't have it in front of me at my desk, but what I use is, it's a notebook. It's called Tool, TUL. And these notebooks are awesome. So I just have the hole puncher to punch it and put it in here. And these notebooks are awesome because you can take pages out or you can add pages in as you want. And it's a little less clumsy than a 3-ring binder for me. And you can find them online or at Office Depot, something like that. And that's my go-to.
Got it.
So moving on, here's the next exercise that I find has been probably the most powerful exercise I do. I do this twice a year is when I scheduled to do this, more if I need to. It's called mind mapping. And so all of us, we have so much stuff that we store up here, right? We have all these projects, all these things that I should do, I want to do, my goals for the year, my goals personally, and my bucket list, everything we just store up here. And we think that it's going to somehow magically appear every time we need it. And that's not always the case. And it clogs up our brain. So that way we're not able to really focus where we are, because we have these 50 projects up here that are on repeat playing, tidbits in our head. And so what I do is twice a year, I set aside at least 4 hours of my day where it's quiet. I have no distractions, no interruptions, and I take everything that's in my head, everything that's in my notebooks, all the little notes that I took on my computer, everywhere, and I do a mass dump of all of this stuff. What that looks like is, usually I take just a ream of white copy paper, or now I also have these pages that I've put together, and I start thinking about everything that's in my brain. When I wake up in the middle of the night with a oh crud moment, I forgot this, it's because we're storing it here and not in a place that we can trust and know that it's in a safe spot that we'll get to. So with mind mapping, you can use these sheets I've given to you as well. You can use them if you would like. You also may have more categories than this. I, a lot of times, will have additional categories, but I will categorize all of my project thoughts, notes into at least these four, if not more. And the first one is my must-do items. What is everything that has a deadline that I need to do? You know, my career work, what does that look like? All the different projects I have. What is the work I need to do on my goals? What are all of those projects? My personal goals, what are all of those that, you know, I have all these little projects to get me to that end goal, and write them all down. For me, I would use the ream of copy paper because I would put one project on one sheet of paper. Yes, I'm sorry for all of the environmentalists. Use recycled paper and then recycle afterwards because you go through a lot of paper. But it's one project on one sheet of paper, and I'll explain why after. Then I have an ideas page. These are for the things that you know you have to flesh out more, right? It's your future thinking items. So many of us are so stuck in the day to day that we don't think future. You know, what do I need to do as a business owner to stay competitive, to beat out my competition, to gain more clients? You know, and we don't do a lot of that future thinking because we're so busy stuck in our day-to-day work. So this is for ideas there. It's for new systems to be more effective and more efficient. What new systems do you need to put into place in your business? New marketing ideas to gain more clients. And also, you know, your personal goals, what are those? What do they look like? And how soon are you wanting to accomplish those? We sometimes pay so much attention to our work goals, we forget about our personal goals. And that's really why we work, right? Is to reach our personal goals. Then we have a someday maybe sheet. These are more of your dreams. You know what, it would be nice, but it's not as impactful, or it's not high on your priority list yet. And then we have the read and research tab as well. And these are things that are going to help you with your personal growth. Do you have personal growth time marked into your time blocking? If you don't, you really should, because your business is only going to grow to the extent that you do. So if you don't have time to focus on yourself and grow yourself, both you and your business are going to stay stagnant, and nobody wants that. So, you know, think of what that is. You know, what are the books you want to read? What is the research you need to do on your competitors or on the new ways of marketing? What skills do you need to fine tune, or where do you need more education? Things like that, and get all of that down on a sheet of paper. Then once you have all of that down, then we look at the 4 quadrants. I'm not sure how many people have seen this before. Stephen Covey talks about this as well in his 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And we look at each of these projects, and when we can put it into a box. We have the quadrant 1. These are our projects that are important and they're urgent. These are the ones that we need to really focus on managing. These are the emergencies, the ones with the tight deadlines, your day-to-day firefighting activities. And we really have to learn how to manage those. How much of your time are these projects taking in your day? Is there somebody else that you can delegate these to? You know, look at that. Then quadrant 2 is important, yet not urgent. And this is where we should focus. It's been proven that in quadrant number 2, and this encompasses like your health, relationships and family, your future planning, this is where the projects are most neglected. However, this is where you find the most success, balance, and growth when you focus in this area. Okay? So that's your career work, your family time, your personal goals, and your future thinking. Then in quadrant number 3, we have our not important items that are urgent. And these, when possible, we want to avoid. How many of those are affecting our day? These are phone calls, these are emails, these are the 10 different phone apps you have where your phone keeps blowing up and you keep looking over to see, why is my phone blowing up? And now, where was I? It interrupted what you were doing. And those constant interruptions play a huge role in your day because it takes you a long time to get back and get focused on what you were working on every time there's an interruption. So I'm not saying don't take phone calls, don't check emails. Of course you have to, but be very efficient when you do that. Have certain times in your day where it's like, okay, now I'm focused on my emails. And then when it's not that time, don't have your email up on your screen where you can see them just flooding in. That just causes extra stress, anxiety, overwhelms you, and you move slower. And then quadrant number 4 is not important and not urgent. And these are the things you should definitely limit in your day. These are busy work, time wasters, entertainment, things that aren't pushing either your personal goals or your work goals forward. Now, I'm not saying you can't have entertainment or you can't, have some time wasters. We all need that to, just to fill us up, right? There's going to be times I go out on Facebook and spend a little bit too much time. That's part of life. Just really limit how often that is. Any questions on that quadrant and the mind mapping?
So folks, type in your questions that you have in anything there. As a recap, Karla, you said you spend 4 hours. What was the period of time?
I spend 4 hours to go through anything and everything.
How often?
6 months.
Every 6 months, got it.
And sometimes if I feel like I'm starting to get chaotic again and there's a lot of disorganization, I'll do it more often. And sometimes you only need an hour or 2 hours. But when you do it every 6 months, I do like to set aside 4 hours for me, because you'll be going through them and you'll automatically start thinking of more and more and more. And then you'll be like, oh yeah, I had that old notebook that I put on the back shelf that had some ideas in there that I want to bring back, into my future thinking. We store this kind of information everywhere on our computers, in our notepads, in our head, us laying on the floor sometimes in our office. And it's just really a declutter of our brain and our physical workspace.
Sure. So go back to the previous slide, if you can, please. And that had the 4 sheets. So you're going through, you're blocking out 4 hours every 6 months, and you've got these 4 sheets, and that's what you're doing on each sheet. So the first sheet, which has, what does it say? Must-dos.
Yeah.
You're doing a brain dump of deadlines, career, like whatever you can, you do, brainstorm. You're getting it all on paper, correct?
Yes.
And so that's what you're doing. You've got 4 sheets that'll have stuff on it that you'll do after, you'll have at the end of the 4 hours, correct?
Yes. And sometimes I'll have more than 4 sheets.
Sure.
So maybe I have a delegate pile. Things that I don't need to personally take on that I can delegate to someone else. So sometimes I will have those piles as well. Or I'll have piles of need to get rid of. These are projects that I just need to shut it down and know that, okay, this is an idea that either is old now, I missed the boat on it, it's no longer relevant, or I need to let someone else know that I'm shutting down this project. So you don't have to just stick with these 4. However, these 4 I feel are the foundation, where we have things that can fit into these 4 areas: the must do, the ideas, the someday maybe, and the read and research.
Got it. Great. That's great. And then from here, so you've got stuff, you've got things, you've got new systems, future thinking, you've got a few things there, you've got a few dreams there. How do you then, what's the next step after this? What do you do?
So I do not go into details on the actual project when I do this exercise. This is not a time to think through the new system. What does that look like? What are all the bullet points and the steps to implement the new system? Now is not the time. The time is to just brain dump it onto a sheet of paper. After your 4 hours and you have everything down, that's a time when you can start thinking about what's next. Um, and make sure there's time in your day that you've time blocked to do that future thinking. And then you can go back to these projects and you can start getting the details behind it. So what I do after I do the mind mapping, so it's a great question, what do we do next, is I go through those sheets of paper and I prioritize them and I color code them. Okay.
Hmm.
And so I know which ones are, hot on my list and which ones aren't. And I start to prioritize them and put them in order as to, what needs to happen. Of course, our must-dos are big items. And once I start prioritizing those and color coding them as to what they are, I start plugging them into my time block. For me, you can use whatever colors you want and you can, color code how you want. For me, what it worked for me is as I'm plugging it into my time block, I used red for internal meetings, meetings that I have to show up at. The red symbolized for me, stop what you're doing. You have to attend this. There's
Hmm.
no way around it, right? The blue was any kind of admin work. So as I'm looking at some of these projects, maybe it's a new system that I want to put into my business. There's going to be a lot of admin work. Maybe there's some coding, maybe there's some documentation that needs to happen. There's some forms that need to be created. Those are all admin work. And I always look twice at the admin work. Is this something that I actually have to do? Or is this something that I can delegate? Because we can get bogged down in those details in the admin work when most of the time there's someone who can do it better than us in the admin world, right? We have to think, what is our strength and where does the business need me? It's a great exercise to go through and figure out, what are you worth an hour? And if you're worth $20 an hour, $50 an hour, $150 an hour, what is that number when you can actually bring in clients and bring in money making activities to the business? How much are you worth an hour? And then ask yourself, would you pay an admin that $150 an hour to type up this form? Probably not. So then why are you doing it? Find someone that is able, to do that work for you. And then on my time block, I have gray for my non-productive time. Maybe that's drive time, or my lunch hour. Those are times where I'm not growing my business, and they need to be on your calendar because you have to be realistic with your time and know that, okay, it does take me an hour to drive here and a half hour to drive there. That is going to take away from your day. So it's good to visually see that and see if you can, cut down on your non-productive time. Yet, know that it's there. And then green, these are my money making activities. This is what's going to bring the revenue into my business. And this is where you really want to focus, right? As a business owner, is in this area. And so see how many of those are out there. With the money making activities, are there ones that you're not doing because you just don't have enough time? Maybe it's networking events. Maybe it's taking the time to call your clients and touch base with them and build that relationship, sending them a handwritten note. These are money making activities that a lot of people don't do because they feel they don't have the time. They're just swimming right now, right? And so see if those are things you can delegate as well. I've delegated out those. I've had someone look at my social media, personally wish people happy birthday for me. Don't tell everyone that. And it's a genuine message from me. It came from me. It's just someone physically went and did it for me. So I didn't have to take the time and then get distracted. Handwritten notes, same thing. The message was mine. However, someone else wrote it, mailed it, sent it off so it got done. So then yellow, this is the most important one because I pick yellow for caution. Don't get stuck here. And that's looking at what you can delegate and who you can delegate to. And for some people, it might be part of your staff and your team. Other people, it might be a virtual assistant, or maybe it's the next door neighbor or the part-time mom or the stay-at-home mom, that just wants to do, some things with her time. Who is that and who can you utilize?
Awesome.
So then step number 5 is to actually delegate. Do it, find those people. Step 6 is to calendarize it. And remember that you need white space because life is going to happen. And for me, white space means you just don't have anything scheduled or planned. So that way, if you do get an emergency, if you do, even have a family emergency, a kid gets sick and you have to run and pick them up from school, or an unexpected meeting comes up, you have time in your schedule that you can shift and change things around and still get everything done. So white space is really important. Plus, if you don't have white space, it becomes too overwhelming. Most people shut down. I think of this as the gym. Every year a lot of us have a New Year's resolution to start going to the gym, and it's like, I'm going to go 5 days a week. I'm going to go for 2 hours at a time. I'm going to, do all of this. And it's such a drastic, huge change that we don't stick to it because it's not realistic. And we don't have any, then we just think we're a failure and we completely stop. So if you need to with calendarizing and time blocking, do it like I tell people to do the gym, little bits at a time. So just start time blocking one piece of your day if you need to, and make sure you stick to that. So if you need to do your 10 push-ups and your 10 sit-ups for the day, that's your constant, always do that every day, every day, every day, and gradually you'll grow. And next time it will be, 20 push-ups and 20 sit-ups, and then you're going to add in a leg routine and you'll add in cardio, and it grows. So do the same with your time blocking. What's the most important piece of your day that you have to stick to? Then the last is to always be analyzing and adjusting. We're not going to get it perfect. We're not going to always have it right. And our job responsibilities change, especially for you guys throughout the year. What you're doing now is going to be different than what you're doing in July and August. So constantly be analyzing and adjusting your day. So those are my 7 steps to time blocking. Now I have a few key questions I'd ask yourself as you're looking at your goals and then as you're looking at your time blocking for the year. And I'd ask yourself, this project, is it a strength of mine? And I always say rate yourself on 0 to 10, 10 being a huge strength and 0 being your biggest weakness. Where do you fall in that scale? Now, most of us want to deal with someone, especially a CPA, that's in the green, right? At the higher level, 8, 9, or 10. A lot of people don't want to be at a 6 or below when it comes to your business and what you do, and even small specific skills. So rate yourself on each project. Is this a strength? Because when you look at your strengths and weaknesses, a lot of people think I need to really work on my weaknesses, right? And bring them up and get better at them. Where personally, I feel that should not be the case. That's where you find people to delegate your weaknesses to. If it's a weakness, don't even bother. Focus on where you're good and where your strengths are. Because on a scale of 0 to 10, you can bring any skill or talent up by 2 points. So if your weakness is a 3, you're going to be able to bring it up to a 5. That's still mediocre at best. Not good enough. So delegate that out. Where if you have a strength that's at a 7, and if you focused there, you could bring that up to a 9. Now at a 9, you're better than 97% of the other CPAs out there, right? So focus on those strengths. And it brings us back to the energy we talked about earlier. Are you swimming with the current or are you swimming upstream? Find where you're going to get more of that energy, and that's in your strengths. If you're always working on your weaknesses, you're going against that current and it just drains the energy from you and it defeats you. So that's the first question I ask. The other questions are very important to ask is, in your business, what is your biggest challenge right now? And if you would, type in the chat or the question box, what is your biggest challenge right now? What's your biggest challenge with your business? What's your biggest challenge personally? And you don't have to share your personal one if you don't want. Put that out there, especially with Salim here to help you through. That's a huge question to ask. Then ask, what have you tried so far to conquer this challenge? What are you going to do next? Now, this one is very important to me. Who do I need to become to accomplish this? That's big, because sometimes who you need to become to accomplish this goal or to get over this challenge may not be who you want to become. Maybe that means you're working, 100 hours a week, and you don't want to be doing that, right? And be taken away from your personal life. Maybe that's not what you want. You want to keep it within a certain range. So that's going to change. If you need to become someone you don't want to be, that's when you need to look at, who are my resources? Who can I utilize? Who can I learn from? Better systems? Who can I delegate to? And then also, what habits do you need to change to accomplish these goals? It's not about the big changes again. It's about those 1-degree tweaks. That's what's going to make a huge difference over time. And those are the habits that are going to stick. And then ask yourself, who's going to hold you accountable? If you say, myself, ask yourself, is that enough? So I challenge each of you to find an accountability partner and find someone you don't know super well. Your spouse is not a great accountability partner, right? When they want you to blow off work and come, do a staycation on the weekend instead, they're not going to be your best accountability partner. Other, coworkers that may know you really well may not be your best accountability partner. They're going to give you grace and slack where you don't want that, and it's not going to push you forward. So find someone that you know, like, respect, trust, that you can reach out to and be an accountability partner. Then the last handout I sent you guys is a momentum and habit creator sheet. So this is where you can identify what habits you need to change or activities you need to be doing on a consistent manner. And this is just a visual for you to go through, write out your habit and then check during the week. How often did you actually do what you say you were going to do? And you can visually see if you, really do need that accountability partner because you're not quite cutting it, or if you're doing well at them. So, Salim, did you get any feedback on the challenges?
None yet.
Okay.
A few questions have come in, so we can, certainly go through that. But yeah, folks, what is your number one challenge? What comes to your mind right now? Is you thinking about the question? Yeah, what's your challenge now? Take a few seconds and type that in. And while you're doing that, let's see a few questions. And Karla, let's go through the questions pretty quickly.
Yep. And if I may add, as you're sitting in front of your clients, that's a great question to ask them as well. What is your biggest challenge right now as we're going through, all of their information? So how can you be a better resource for them? Do they need some additional education? Or, how can you help them? If everyone wants their leader, which we see the CPAs as our leader, help direct me in a great direction. We want to know that they have our best interests in mind and at heart, and they want to serve, right? That's what we're here to do, is serve our clients. And so asking that question is powerful too for your clients.
Yeah, and sometimes, many times, we may not be able to help them, and that's okay. It's just asking a question. If we are able to help them, great. We can connect them with someone and so forth.
Yes.
Cool. Folks, what's your biggest challenge while you're doing that? Very quickly, let's go over some questions that came. Victor says, Carla, how do you document these personal conversations that you're having with clients? What's your system of, you're making phone calls, you're doing an outreach, or you're meeting with your client? How do you track that?
I do have a CRM program that I use. So I recently just changed one, but the one that I used prior was called Salesforce.
Okay, very
And
popular name.
yes, yes. And the CRM can be customized to you, and it is amazing. It's definitely a habit that you need to create when you bring on a CRM, and it can be extremely powerful. I lived my day through my CRM, and it had all the details from the emails I'd send them to my phone call conversations to what their birth date is to their anniversary. Do they like to golf? Who have they referred me to? Who have I referred to them? So that way I can, keep track of the circle that I've been creating around this client, who they know and who I've introduced them to. So then I can have those conversations. I'm not good at remembering all the kids' names and, ages and all of that. And so the
Sure.
CRM also tracks that so you can have a personal conversation with these people.
Awesome.
Another great way to take on that is when you are on social media and you see, oh, they just went on vacation or their kid had a birthday or graduated, bring those things offline. That's the best opportunity to pick up the phone and to say, hey, congratulations, I just saw Bobby graduated, or to do that handwritten note. Don't congratulate them on Facebook. You can, but if you do, also take that step and go offline. I did it yesterday. A person I haven't seen for, 10 years, his father died. Never met his father before, but I called them to say I was sorry to hear about that. And the reaction I got was so powerful that it brought both of us to tears. That's what's really going to stick with your clients, are those small moments.
Hmm. And I think this is what humanizes us. Yeah, sure, we're in business and we want to make money and all that. But I feel, one of the things that really, makes us, it's gratifying, it's fulfilling, is when we have these types of gestures uh, incorporated in the way we live and we do business.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel, going into tax season, if keep your eyes, ears open for these types of opportunities. Have a stack of cards next to your, on your desk, so you can be dropping these types of notes and schedule
Mm-hmm.
time. The way Carla shared in her the tools she shared. Block off time for conversations where you are doing an outreach to clients, right? And Carla, you've shared, the frog, right? Using the frog
Yes.
that came, and that stands for, just very quickly, family, recreation, occupation, and G is for
Goals.
goals. Yeah, good. I forgot the G. So
Yep. Or
family.
some people say dreams and they'll use Ford
Okay,
instead of frog and do dreams
got
too.
it.
Either or.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good.
Mm-hmm.
We are coming close to finishing off, folks. Victor, thanks for sharing your challenge here. And I'll read that out in just a second. But before we finish off, what was the biggest, what was your biggest takeaway from this webinar? And we'll finish off in less than a minute. And then I'll kind of share what comes, what you guys share. So everyone, take a few seconds and share biggest takeaway. What are you walking away from this training today? Biggest takeaway. All right. So Victor says, biggest takeaway is working on your strengths and rate yourself so you're not working on your fives or below. Well said. Darren says, importance of setting aside time to achieve my goals. Super. Marcel saying, great tools to get my goals accomplished and blocking time on my schedule. Yeah, that's great, Marcel. The tools were great. Thanks, you know, Karla, for being so generous there
Absolutely.
with sharing that. And everyone, you should have received an email from Kimberly, my teammate, who had sent you the handout there. Patty says, and I'll read one or two more. Patty says, importance of focusing on my strengths and delegating those items I don't need to. Good, awesome. So in the interest of time, I want to be respectful of everyone's time, mine, yours, and Karla's. Let's finish off here. Karla, thank you so much for coming here and on this virtual setting and sharing your gems. You shared so many. This was so good, and I felt it was during such a timely time for CPAs
Yes.
when we are going to be crazy busy, and so this was really awesome. So thank you.
Good. Well, I hope that I added some value to each and every one of you. And if I can ever be a resource for you, please, let Salim know. If, Salim, if I can be a resource for you, I'm always here. So always willing
We're
to
gonna
share.
bring you back, Karla. We're gonna
Sounds great.
because Marcel says love you guys. So
Oh,
thanks everyone. Appreciate you and have a great day. And what's today? Thursday? Rest of the week. All right, Karla.
good
Bye.
luck on tax season. Bye,
All right.
guys.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.